Well, hi and welcome. This is the event, Why Isn't It Selling? Scheduled for 4 p.m. New Zealand time, New Zealand summer time on Wednesday, the 24th of October, 2018. I'm pre-recording this now because I noticed many of you actually watch the event after the scheduled time. So you'll get this in advance of the scheduled time. You can watch it then if you wish, if it's in your diary, or you can download it to watch at a later time. So today we're going to spend 30, 40, 45 minutes talking about why isn't it selling? Because with the change in the marketplace in many towns, we've got some listings that are now running over the 90 days. In fact, I've seen listings that have been on the market in Auckland for over a year, then finally eventually selling. For some of those markets, it's simply been a patience game. And many towns now, even in Tauranga, we're seeing properties going past 90 days, not selling, auction closure rates are down. I spent the last week in Nelson, in fact, I'm there right now, and the market is still cracking along fairly well. However, some listings are now going past the 90 days and having to be renewed. So there's a bit of an adjustment going on everywhere. Now, I don't want to double up what we talked about last time, but why isn't it selling? One of the things you've got to ask yourself, why isn't it selling? What could I be doing that's better or different? What could I do with the marketing? What could I do with the property? And what do I have to have my vendors understand what the market might do? In fact, one of the exciting challenges about what I'm doing, I've done some really interesting presentations in recent days. And in fact, I did an appraisal with a new salesperson today with a property that'll probably sell 250 to 270,000. There's a section on a slope like that. I'm closing off a listing on Thursday morning where the asking price is going to be 22.5 million. Now that will be way above where the market is because the appraisal is circa 15 mil. But it's really interesting when you talk to the vendors in some of these properties where the appraisal comes from. Let's go right back now where you might want to revisit, first of all, the appraisal that you did. When you did that appraisal, whether it's 3 months or 6 months ago, the market data you may have been using might now have changed. Secondly, you may have lived in the excitement of the market that was always going up. And of course, in that market, one of the dangers is when you as a real estate salesperson, licensee, are in the excitement of a market where things are going up at record prices all the time, multi-offers and auctions under the hammer. When that's happening, we buy into that as well, and we price ahead of the market a bit to protect ourselves for the opportunity to win the listing. Probably we lose a few against other agents who've gone even further than we did to go. The other thing about that is the vendors read the news about the rising market. They don't read the news about the slowing or shrinking market. They only read the news of the rising market. So the first reason it may not sell is the price is wrong from day one. And you've lost in the first 3 weeks the best chance to find the buyer who likely pay the most. So when the market changes, getting the price right is important. So the first thing you want to do is revisit your appraisal and see what it is you said and what data you relied upon from that, and how has the market changed, if it has changed at all, since that time. So do we need to redo the appraisal? Go back and spend some time with the vendors, but I'll talk you through the agenda of that vendor review meeting soon. We don't do that right up front yet. So do you need to look at your appraisal? The next thing I would go and do is look at the advertising copy you have written. Are you a great copywriter? Are you the best copywriter in your marketplace? Or is your ad a line of plagiarized platitudes from the marketplace? There are people out there right now, and I've seen 4 ads written in the last week at $50 plus GST. Wow, $50 plus GST by copywriters. And it made such a difference just by changing the advertising copy. Now, when you change the advertising copy and read that advertising copy, look at the order of the photographs or pictures for the property you have on your websites. Normally when you load them into a Property Suite or My Desktop or Rex, you load them in the order in which realestate.co or Trade Me will display those photographs as our buyers click on each side of the photograph. So are the photographs in the same order as the features and benefits in the copy. Not a bad idea. So if you have a house that's got a fabulous view, then no doubt that's in the heading, and no doubt that's in the first line of the copy. If a house has a fabulous entertaining area, pool or whatever, no doubt that's the hero photo, that's in the headline, and that's in the first line of the copy. So marrying those three things together, so that is the marketing, the heading, the photograph, and the first line of the copy, all run together. So, wow, I'm captured with that. So you've gone back, look at your CMA, and we'll talk about the courage of that soon. Go back and look at your CMA and say, have I got it right? Now look at your marketing. Are your photographs really that good? Who took them? In my mind today, there's only one set of photographs suitable for any property to be marketed, and that's those that are professionally taken, where you and the vendor, you and your client have worked through preparing the property for sale. So when the photographer comes, this house, this property looks the best that it can. Now, if you've got pictures of toilets, if you've got pictures of unmade beds, rubbish under the bed, trampolines with junk on them, clotheslines with clothes on them, cluttered benches, crooked towels, unmatching towels, crooked curtains. You've got any pictures of that stuff, get rid of them. Start again. If you've got a picture of the view and it's the ocean or harbour or sea view and it's not full tide, get another picture. If it's great for a dusk shot, a night shot or light shot, get another picture. So that's the first part of marketing. So we've talked about looking at our price and asking ourselves, have I got it positioned right with its asking price? Then we've looked at our advertising copy, the order of the photographs, the hero shot that comes first, the heading for the marketing, and then the first sentence of the marketing. And do these all run together? That's the first part of it. Now, the second part, no doubt, in your website, when you enter the listing into the database, into the property system, the listing system, if it didn't have an asking price, it had by negotiation, tender, auction, deadline sale, whatever fantasy you're selling. What is the match price or the match price range that you are asking the computer to feed to buyers who are inquiring? Because remember that when a buyer goes into trademerealestate.co or even your website or your brand's website, they ask for city, suburb, type of listing, number of bedrooms, and the price range. Now, properties without a price, of course, need a hidden figure somewhere. So the buyer search queries match that price you've got for that property and brings it up in that search range. So it's showing to the wrong people. So it's showing to the right people. Now, if you've got that too high, the algorithm in those systems is going to take it way above market reality. So you've got to discuss with your vendor the importance of having that match price at the low end of your appraisal, sometimes even fractionally below it, so that the property appears in the right search ranges and not too high. So is that something you need to look at? The asking price or the match price, the order of your photographs, the heading for the advertisement, and the copy in the advertisement. Have you got all those looking really cool? Now, the next thing I'd be looking at is the property presentation. Have you and the vendor done everything you can to make this home look the best that we can make it look? Are there some elements of presentation we could improve? I guess if only one or two buyers are coming, or in some cases nobody's coming, then this is not an issue until they get there. But if when people get there and it's not looking its best, remember in some markets, especially in Auckland where the market has changed, as I said to the other group on Monday night, the buyers are now looking for value. Vendors are looking for buyers. Buyers are looking for value. In towns like this in Nelson, buyers are still looking to own something, and vendors are just looking, wow, to see what amazing money they can get. But when the market changes and the market settles, vendors then are suddenly faced with the prospect of looking for a buyer. And the buyers are looking for value, not just a house, they're looking for value. So they can walk around the open homes at the weekend. They can go on trademerealestate.co and they can search all the listings that are in the marketplace in their area of focus and their price band, whatever they're looking for. And they can find the ones that look like they are the best value. The banks have driven them there, and as some vendors are still here, and motivated vendors are here, yes, vendor motivation gets the price right. Vendor motivation gets the price right. They've got something they need to achieve by the sale of this property. And if they can't sell it, they can't go and do what it is they want to do. So when the market changes, we have to lead the price down. We have to be the best price value. We're going to be the best listed property in the marketplace, the best value for money. That's how I get a buyer in a changing market. So we have to coach our vendors through understanding that if we live in the old market or we price ahead of the market, it's not going to come to us this year. It might not come to us next year. We're going to languish on the market, and then buyers are going to say, how long has it been on the market? Why hasn't it sold? The only appropriate answer in that case is my vendors' expectations were too high. My vendors' expectations were too high. You, with your offer, your interest, could help me educate them to see them understand where the market is. Is that something you'd like to do? Because you need evidence. See, evidence defeats disbelief. So you priced this house a year ago, or a month ago, or 6 weeks ago, or 3 months ago, and you priced it at $750,000. Your CMA, your market range, said, oh, it's on a bad day, it's 690. It's probably 720, 725. And on a good day, it's 750 easy. And of course, the vendor wants 775. So it's on at 775. So you got the listing. And you've had no education. See, the vendor was not looking at the evidence you gave them when you priced it. Because too many agents, when the market was still, I said agents, when the market was rocking up, we weren't educating our vendors as to price when we listed it. We were educating them as to us, how wonderful we were, how good the marketing is, how easy it's going to be to sell because there's buyer versus buyer everywhere. Now, we were caught in that trap, and then the market changed on us. We have to change. We have to change our approach. You use the CMA to win the listing. As the market changes, if your listing isn't selling, why hasn't it sold? Because you ain't used the CMA to educate them. And if the CMA you did at the start, if the appraiser did it at the start is where their property is still pitched, then I'm sorry, we probably got it wrong. And we need to admit it and tell our vendors, sorry, in our enthusiasm and seeing the rising market, I think we added a wee bit too much to the market, and I think we've got it wrong. We need to sit down and have a really good chat about what we need to do now to get your property sold. Because the longer we languish, the more the buyers seek to discount the price. Now, one of the rules of real estate is time on the market erodes value. I'll say it again, time on the market erodes value. So don't wait till day 90. Don't even wait till day 60. By day 21, by day 28 of the listing, you got to be doing this stuff now. And if it's really slow, day 14, get in there, work hard. Look, the market is not reacting to the appraised value we put in. Our marketing's really good. Oh, is the marketing really good? That was the other question. Because if you sold crap marketing and haven't got it looking good, and if you haven't got a big enough investment, it ain't going to work in a changing market. So let's just go back and do the appraisal again. And now the appraisal is not there to win the listing, to appease them. The appraisal in a changing market, or the appraisal for a property that hasn't sold, that appraisal is to educate them. Sometimes it educates us too. So suck it up. Sometimes you just got to give them a call and say, hey guys, we've been sitting here talking about your property today. In fact, your property came up at our sales meeting this morning. And my manager asked me what was happening. And he suggested I give you a call because we're all quite concerned. And they'll say, well, what are you concerned about? Well, not only have we not sold it, we haven't had the offers for a few weeks. In fact, the numbers of people coming through your property has dropped off considerably, as I'm sure you can see. I'll say it again. Hi, Bill. It's Ian here from Ian Real Estate. Look, the reason for my call is your property came out at our meeting this morning, and my manager looked at me and said, "What's happening with the Johnson's house?" And I said, "Well, unfortunately, not a lot. We're not getting many buyers through." He looked at me and said, "Have you been back and discussed the pricing, the marketing, and the presentation with your client?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Why don't you give them a call and make a time? And you and I will sit down and go through all the marketing material, all the pricing material, and we'll come up with some suggestions. And then I want you to go back and have a chat with you." So is that something you guys would entertain, that I come and see you? You know, well, he said, if we couldn't make, if you were reluctant to, he'd give you a call, and we'd both come around. They don't like the boss coming. But when you go on your own for this review meeting, take your listing folder, make sure it looks like you've been working. Don't make a nice, neat, tidy one like you haven't been doing any work. It's got lots of feedback forms. It's got your letters. It's got your feedback. It's got the CMA. It's got the title. It's got the marketing budget. Everything you've done is in this folder. Oh, Ian, I've gone paperless. Then have that folder as PDFs on your laptop or your mobile device and show them all the stuff you've got. If you're not paperless yet, time to move that way. So go back and see them. And I was taught many years ago, when you go back to see them with the updated CMA and the feedback you've got. I even went back into one a few weeks back and said to the vendor, "I've got all the feedback reports here for you. In fact, every buyer that comes to open home automatically, because of my app, automatically goes into the database in the office under your listing. And when I do the callbacks, when my PA does the callbacks, whoever, I'm able to write their comments in there and then." The other thing that's really interesting, I can also see who I have sent information on your property to. That's really cool. So often on a Sunday or Monday, I'll send them all an email saying, "Thank you for coming to the open home. Really cool to meet you. I'll call you in the next 24, 48 hours to get your feedback on the property, to see if you have any further interest, whether you need a further viewing, whether you want to bring out the family or advisors along. And in the meantime, if the property is of any interest to you strongly, you want to take action, don't hesitate to call." In the meantime, I attach some information for you, such as the limb, the title, some property information, and the guidebook and all that. So I'm going to send all that through to you. It's really powerful in your feedback letters. Not only do you print out the comments those buyers make when you print out your feedback report, what I love too is taking the list of who has been sent the information and showing them that despite me sending it, despite proof that information has been delivered, some of those buyers haven't even bothered to open it. Oh, you mean not every buyer that came through is interested? Correct. You know those emails have been delivered, and you know whether they've been opened. That's really cool. Why don't you show your vendor that? I sent 17 people came through your property. I sent them all the information. I've rung 15 of them. 2 of the phone numbers appear to be wrong. I've texted and I've emailed and I'm getting no response at all. But of the 15 that gave me the correct information, 11 haven't even opened one document in that file. The other 4 have. And one of them down here, Bill and Mary Johnson, they've opened that information 6 times. So they are my first call. That's my most interested party. They could be looking at the information to send it to their solicitor or their mortgage broker. They could be looking at information to reconcile in their own minds, to rationalize for them why they're really interested or why they shouldn't buy it. So that's my job, to find out that. Then I report to you with that. So all those people through, not all of them want it. Why don't you tell your owners that? Why don't you tell your owners that of the 15 people that opened the information, 11 of them have not clicked on one of the files. 4 have. Those are our best prospects. I have to say that I always hold out hope at my first meeting. You know, one of these people just might be a slow decision maker. They might be working double shifts this week, or they're only going to look at it when they are together. often find that sometimes a person looks at a property for sale by auction the first weekend, and then the first couple of weeks you contact them, nah, not really interested. Then the 3 or 4 days before the auction, suddenly they're back. Can we have the conditions of sale? Can we have a registration form? Can we get another inspection? So don't eliminate everyone just because they haven't responded straight away. You can always hold out hope for 1 or 2 weeks. Then you and the vendors have to look at reality, 1 or 2 weeks. So they've been with you now for 2 months, 2.5 months. You haven't changed a thing. The head photo, the lead photo is still the same photo. Boring. The last photo on your software system, which by the way is the 3rd most viewed picture on TradeMe, the last photo is the worst photo. No, get the 3rd best photo and make it last on your website. Then it'll show up, because they go left or right. Hero shot, left or right. That's what they do. So don't be afraid of changing those around and telling them you've done that. Don't just leave it always the same. Now, when it's not selling, you need to make sure you remove any excuse. You've done your just listeds. You've done your signage for the open home really, really well. You've got as many up as you're allowed, flag up, and as far up the corner as you can, and on the next main street. You've done all you can. So there's no finger they can point that you haven't done what you said you would do. And by the way, when you said you're going to do something, tell them that by email, and then follow up confirmation that has been done. Just to update you, yes, I've changed the order of the photographs on the website. We've rewritten the copy, and this week's open home we've changed because 2 other new listings have come up, and we were at 2 o'clock. They've come up in this street, your street, and the one off your street. They've come up at 1 o'clock. They've come up at 1 o'clock. So I'm going to change your open home to be open the same time as they are. So maybe there's a better pool of buyers. What I'll do also, I'll look at those houses very closely and their prices and see if, in my professional opinion, they represent better value than yours. I want you to look at it as well. Because remember, today, when a house hasn't sold in the first 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, buyers are looking for value. Not just an exciting house in the right school zone, not just something nice and flashy. They're looking for value. So we've got to then look at our price and the price expectations of those other listings. I'll go through that with you. Let's look on my laptop now. Do that with them. Know that house. Go to its open home so you can say to them, I went through that. It needs a new kitchen, or it's got a new kitchen and a new bathroom. It's slightly bigger than your house. In fact, I have to say, the buyers are saying to me, that one's just got a wee bit more to offer. You're asking the same money. So then we don't represent value. We need to address that. Hope you understand that. I'm just trying to make it really simple and really clear, because none of this needs to be complicated, guys. The hardest part of this is you and I having the courage to go and see them. You know, when I listing the other day when they'd been on the market at 23.9, I never dealt in such properties, and that was their dream price. And I said, well, I've done an appraisal and I've got to by law, and I don't know the value of the business part of it, and I can't put a value on the intangibles such as position, remoteness, ruggedness, conservation values, none of that. But I see it circa 15 million. Now, don't be worried. That's just what it adds up to. I'm going to help your buyers see the rest of it in those other values: conservation value, remoteness, ruggedness, ability to operate a great business, the power, the crayfish, whatever it is. I can't place a value on that. Only the buyer can. And we'll soon know whether there's any buyers who see those values. All this OIO change, they got a bit tough. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? Selling some of that stuff. Now, so why isn't it selling? Well, focus, first of all, is price. Price. So I've done, what I'm going to do then is ring them, like I said, and say, hi, Mr. Johnson, it's Ian here from Ian Realty. Your property came up at our meeting today, and my manager asked me what was happening. And I said, well, I was planning another meeting with you to go through everything. And he said to me, what do you mean by everything? I said, well, what we're trained to do, what we normally do, to discuss the marketing, to discuss the property's presentation, to discuss its pricing, and to see we've got whether that is all linked to the current market. So I'd like to make a time when you're both available to come and have a chat about that. Would that work for you guys? Let's see why it's not selling. Now, don't go quite to this extreme. But I can remember in the late 80s when in Rotorua, it was extremely tough. We had 360 sole agencies in the office, months and months supply of listings. Someone said, you must have been good listers. I just said, no, nothing is selling. There were so many listings, we actually made our own newspaper so we could afford to advertise everybody every day. We only published it once a month, but it was a great listing tool, fabulous listing tool and a great selling tool. I remember one day going back and using a line that an Australian trainer had given me. And this property was probably going to sell for less than they'd paid. They bought at the end of like 84, before Labor came and went whack to the marketplace. And less than a year later, they'd bought it for 72 odd and they were placed to sell it for 64 or something. That's quite a drop in a market like that, nearly 10%. And it's all their money, not the banks. When value drops, why vendors get crappy with us is that, and they get anxious, is that the drop in value is their money, not the bank's money. The bank's got a mortgage of $50,000 on that. The bank's got a mortgage of $50,000 on it, whether it's a $100,000 value or $40,000 value. It's the owner who's lost money. It's their equity that's being eaten away by a falling market. I remember going in one day and I thought I'd try with these people several times. And it was one of those times when you had 12, 15 listings each and you really had to toughen up. Otherwise, you made no money. You just didn't make any money. So we started putting open home signs up on power poles at lunchtime on a Friday. I went to see these people one day and I'd done about 3 meetings and I was really, really tired. And you get to that point where you think, you know, I'd rather be home with my wife and kids, but you got to do your job. And I don't want to go home thinking I need to do it. I want to go home knowing I've done it. And they said, how are you? I said, I'm really good. I said, I'm really struggling with the fact that I haven't sold your property. And this is the 4th conversation I'm having today. And talking to my colleagues today, several are in the same boat. In fact, you're quite lucky because at the weekend, you had 3 people through your open home. Some of my colleagues today were almost in tears because they had none. No one through their open homes. In fact, one guy has had no one through one of his listings for 3 weeks. He's having a real serious meeting with his vendors today because what he's saying is he thinks he mucked up. And he's going back to tell them, I think I got it wrong, guys. That's a really brave call for him to make. So what I want to do first of all, in fact, would you mind? Would you put the jug on while I pluck up a bit more courage? Do you like that? Would you put the jug on while I pluck up a bit of courage? You know, so go back. This is the 4th meeting like this today. So you're not the only one of my clients who's saying, Ian, we need to get sold. I say, you know what? Every agency in town is in the same boat. All of us know we've all got listings we can't sell. And often we're ringing the other agents to see if they've got buyers. If we've got a really hot buyer that we don't have a listing for, we ring them to see if we can get them through one of theirs. And they ring us. So the one agent, this whole agency thing certainly works because we all respect each other and we don't rubbish each other. We respect that they respect that you're my client and I respect that their listings are their clients. And that's how we work. We're working together. The work-ins or conjunctionals have really dropped off because people are really focused on trying to get their own listings sold. Now, the door is open to any agent in town. Your door is open to any agent in town. What I thought we'd do first is just sit and have a chat about how you're feeling about it all. And let's then go for a walk around the property and see if there's anything about the house that's in the way. Now, the reason you want to do that is that's the easy one to handle because you see there's only these things in the way. The price is wrong. The presentation is wrong. The marketing is not good enough, or it's me. The price is wrong. The property's got something wrong, the marketing sucks, or we're not doing our job. That's the only 4 reasons. Oh, there's a fifth one. There's a fifth one. We've all had one. And Mrs. Johnson, the reason I've come to see you today is that I finally realized that what I thought 6 months ago is true. Your house is truly unique. It's so, so different. And as I said, there's only one buyer for it. I've suddenly realized that buyer's you. They don't say that, but that's how it is. That's how narrow the market is for a real wacko or weird house. The truly unique, the truly wacko have a market that big. And often they're already living there, but waiting for someone with the same lack of taste or the same courage to come along. So these are the 4 things. The property. What I suggest we do first, we go for a walk around the property in the section and see if there's anything that's in the way. Let's go out by the front gate and look at your property from a buyer's eyes. Let's go across the road and look back at your property through buyer's eyes. Let's come in where they come in. Up the path, up the front steps and in the doorway, and just take a look and see what a buyer is seeing. Because when we live in a house a long time, same as our car, we don't see the defects because we get desensitized to them because that's how it is. Nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. It's not a criticism. It's just how it is. So let's look and see if there's anything about the property at all that we could fix simply without a lot of money that would make it more appealing to buyers. Because remember what a buyer's looking for? Great value. Keep hammering that home. They're looking for great value because value equals price, actually. Value equals price. I'll try and explain that to potential vendor today, that because your property is very different and the market is quite small, in fact, I use the word, courageous buyers. It's a section about this steep and only 300 square metres. And the car parking has to be built on poles here before we built the house here and the house here. So it's courageous, but under 300,000, you've got to be looking at it. But it's very different. And there's not going to be many buyers. You see, whatever it sells for is only its price, not its value. It's another important concept that we have to get settled in our head, that because you sell a property for less than the vendor wanted, you haven't changed its value. A whole market, a whole suburb, if you had a whole row of houses the same, and I'm currently in a street where all the houses are the same, they're all new, they're all 190 or 200 square metres, and all on 750 square metres, boring, but they go for the same money, almost. Don't always go for the same money, only almost. The values are all the same, but the prices they transact at is not the value to the seller, it's not the value to the buyer. They transact at a price. So get over the value. Oh, it's worth more than that. I know it's worth more than that, but nobody wants to pay it. Well, the buyer says, I won't pay that. Then others are. I won't pay that much. It's not worth it. Others see it there. They're buying them. See, they all think they're unique. They're the only ones. It's not about value. It's about the price. You see, when you sell a property, the vendor and the buyer agree on a price. That's the transaction point. What does that? Motivation, competition, motivation. I want to sell and you want value. So I've got to bring my property, my vendor's expectations into this new segment of market. Buyers are looking for value. Vendors are looking for a sale because they have motivation to go and do something else. And the strength of that motivation determines the price they will accept, not the value of the home, not how many rooms it's got or how new it is. It's how badly they need to or want to go and do what it is they want to go and do. That's called motivation. And they have no certainty about being able to go and do that until they sell for a price that allows them to. They may have thought they can move to the $1 million house comfortably and easily with a new mortgage by selling this existing house for $800,000 with only a $200,000 mortgage, so they can move to the $1 million house with a $400,000 mortgage. He's had a promotion. He's on a bigger pay rate. The partner's working as well. There's more money coming in. We're only 40. We can do another 10 or 15 years. And we can take our mortgage from 200 grand to 400 grand, if only, you say. So they thought they could do this with a $400,000 mortgage. They've done their sums on that, and their mind is fixed on that. But you know, they might need to have a $450,000 mortgage to get this house. That means they take $750 for it, not $800. We get $800, honey. We only have to borrow $2. We can go and buy that $1 million house, and I'm comfortable with that. The market may tell them they have to borrow another $50,000. And $50,000 at 4% is 20 grand a year, isn't it? Is that what it is? 4%, 4 5s are 20 grand a year. It's not 2 grand a year, is it? It's 20 grand a year. What's 20 grand a year? 50 weeks. What's that? $400 a week or less? I don't know. You do the sums. But what's the 50 grand? 50,000. I thought I got it wrong. $50,000. Yeah, I don't edit this stuff. This is raw. Say it as it comes in. That's why I like doing this stuff, because it's not. It's just raw. They borrow another 50 grand at 4%. 50 grand at 4%. 10% is 5 grand. So 2 grand. $40 a week. Long black, $4.50 times 7 is 28. Is that's $32 something a week. $31.50 a week. So there's some of it, and or it's actually a bottle of wine a week, and you've got that house. The old days we were taught to reduce the difference to the ridiculous. Never deal in the $450,000 mortgage. Never deal in the big mortgage. Deal in the difference. It was going to be 200 grand. Now it's 250 grand. The difference is 50 grand at 4% is $40 a week, which is, what is that? $5, under $6 a day. Well, hang on. Why is $6 a day in the way of getting moved to your new house? It may not be you pay any more at the other end. It may be that you have to borrow more to get there because you're going to realize less here. When you can bring it back to a coffee a day, or a bottle of wine a week, or 2 bottles of wine a week, they see it. They see it for being tight. They see it for what they're doing. They're just trying to rationalize, they're going to borrow $450, and they've got to borrow $250. No, I was going to borrow $400, and they've got to borrow $450. Deal with the 50. Don't deal with the $400. Deal with the $50,000 and break it down. Now, so we often think about doing that with buyers. Why aren't you doing that with your vendors? It may not be an $800,000 house. It might only be $750,000. All the evidence I've got here is suggesting that our $800,000 is a stretch too far. And if it was only $700,000, does that allow you to move forward and do what you want to do? Find out. They might say, no, because we can't borrow any more money. Or they might say, well, yeah, because I've had one recently that said, we've got a little bit of money we've saved, we've got a bit of an inheritance. If we sell this for $8, we can buy that other house for $1 million, and we've got no mortgage here now, and we've got money in the bank, so we can go and buy that $1 million house and have no mortgage. At 45, have no mortgage. That's really cool. That's been our goal. Then we can save for our retirement. What a wonderful position to be in. What a wonderful goal. Now, if that's their dream house, they want out of this house with this money they just got into a bigger, brighter, flasher house. If they have to borrow $50,000, $50,000 over how long? And at 4.5% or 4%, $50,000 times 4%. Oh, okay. 10% is 5,000. Okay, 10% is 4,000. Oh, that's 2,000. Back to that 2,000 again. Oh, $40 a week. Catch the bus. Give up that bottle of wine. Or you could give up smoking. Or, just suck it up. It's not a big difference. So they have to see that as well, because their motivation to get to that new house, their motivation to move forward, is the thing that drives the price they will accept, not the value of the house, the price they will accept. So let's review what we've talked about so far. When it isn't selling, we talked about briefly, is it price? And I'll cover that some more in a moment. Then we talked about, does the marketing match up? Is the marketing really good enough? Are the ads big enough? Is the website good enough? Is it need for a boost? Is it super feature? Is it premium on Trade Me? Do you need to invest in AIM, accelerated internet marketing? Or do you need to learn about Facebook marketing and get some boosts going in that, so you're really pushing it out into the marketplace? Is that something you've thought of doing? What have you left undone? And was it a feature or super feature for 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or 4? Has it fallen off? Does your vendor need to invest in a boost to bring it back to the top of the page? Do you need to reorder the photographs before that? Do you need to get some new photographs taken? Do you need to help the vendor understand the importance of presentation? And you've gone to see them and you've said, guys, let's look at these things first. Let's look at the presentation of the property. Go around and be really brutal. Then sit down with them and say, guys, one of the things we need to address is marketing and price. Which one do you want to talk about first? Mostly they'll say price. That's an invitation to deal with it. So deal with it. Deal with it now. Guys, I pulled out the information we did 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago or 4 months ago. I pulled out the appraisal that I did. I've been through all that data and I've married it up with what's happening now. So I brought the old one and I've created a new one. And I've tagged some properties that have sold since that show there's a trend that indicates that the climb in the market is not there like we thought it was. In fact, it's settled quite strongly. And in 1 or 2 cases, there are houses that are selling for less than I would have thought, but that's a sign of the market. So let's go through those and see what has happened. Now, of the ones that have sold recently through our company, I know, and through a couple of other companies, I made sure, because they're in your area, I went to their open homes and I know those houses well. In fact, a couple of them actually appraised. And I see that both of them, actually, 2 of them that I did appraise, that have sold for slightly less than what I had thought they would have done. But that's probably what a lot of us did as the market sort of came up its peak. So we need to sit and address that, because you're wanting 800,000. And looking at this data here, if I show you through it, look at this one here, 745. Yours is pretty much, that's a pretty close comparison. So 745, 750. This one here, 805, bigger land, another bedroom, swimming pool. This one here, it's 755. That's here, number 17 down the road, yes. And this one here at 760. Now, the one at 760, number 13, that's got new carpet through it. And they had done the kitchen about 4 years ago, and they had just done the ensuite up, and they got 755. So that's pretty much an indication of where the market has been. And I think, in fact, the buyer who bought that was one of the first buyers through this probably two months ago. So I think what buyers are saying is that we're probably a little bit ahead of the market, and we're not the best value right now. And if the market was to continue like this, you've got to be very careful, because new listings are coming to the market knowing that's what those ones sold for, and they're pricing in relation to those ones. So as they compete for buyers just below that one, the difference, the gap between you and the market seems to be getting bigger, and they don't see the value. So I need to ask you, we have to ask this question. We've got to put this on the table. 800 would be fine. That'd be great. You'd be really excited. I understand that. And if someone offered you 780, what would you do? Knowing what you know now, if someone offered you 780, what would you do? You'd probably take it, okay? 775, what would you do? You'd talk about it. That would be wise. So, see, all my clients have 3 prices. The happy price. Your happy price is 800. I know you'd even like more, but 800 you're happy with. So where are you okay? Look, that's easy. Okay, 780, 775. Can you live with that? Okay. So where are you grumpy? Let's wind back and don't answer this question. If it was 765, what would you do? I'll write this down. 760, what would you do? 755, what would you do? And at 750, what would you do? And at less than 750, what would you do? That's a piece of paper you guys need to look at on your own and talk about. You should never tell me your bottom line. But when you go down through those figures, yeah, we can live with that. Yeah, we can live with that. We need to borrow another 10. We need to borrow another 5. We're only adding 5s at a time. When you get to a figure that you feel sick, but you can still go and do what you want to do, that's your grumpy price. That's the bottom of the market for you. That's where you can live. You should never tell me that bottom figure. But what you should do is then think about an asking price that is not too far away from that. Oh, we need room to negotiate. If you're priced right, you don't need to negotiate. The buyers do. If you're priced right, that you're right in the marketplace and your presentation's superb and your marketing's good, you don't need to negotiate. You get multiple offers and the buyers have to negotiate with each other. That's the best solution. But you see, you've had 3 months now. The buyers know that. They think they have the upper hand. But can you see from what I've just showed you with these recent sale figures that probably we're not good value in the current market? It wasn't even 10 seconds, but it was a horrible silence. Can you see what I've shown you, what other properties have sold for in recent weeks? That your asking price of $800,000 doesn't represent the best value in the marketplace. So until you have that conversation, you ain't going far. You're just waiting for someone to turn up who doesn't understand the market. So the pricing conversation is critical. Now, I'm trying to stay quite calm. I'm trying to be quite measured and keep my voice at a place where, like that tonality in that conversation is important. Looking at the sales that have taken place in recent weeks for houses that compete with yours and seeing what they have sold for. Can you now see that maybe your 800,000 is not the best value in the marketplace anymore? Look, act as though this is not nice news to deliver. I mean, you asked them to put the jug on, so you plucked up courage. Don't forget that line, because that's a little line to tell you this takes courage. You've sometimes got to have these conversations that just don't match up. I had one today. A guy had been on the market previously, a little bit of land at 300 and something thousand. And I said, look, I've done the research, so run the numbers, we can go through them. But before we go any further, there's not a 3 in the front of it. It's in the 2s, and it's mid to mid upper. Do you want to keep talking? Because I was having a really busy day and I just didn't have time to go blow by blow, like painting by numbers. They were experienced property owners. He's done development, an ex-lawyer. This is how it is. It hasn't got a 3 in front of it. It's in the 2s, maybe the worst case 250, maybe in a good day 270. Now, do you want to continue the conversation? Because so you've got to be in a position where without arrogance, you don't care if someone buys it off you in this market. Let them go waste their time. I got a risky one now with the dear one, but one of the things you've done is say, well, if you're going to do that, this is the fee and here's the marketing. See, if you're going to handle something which is a little bit out of market, a little bit different, and they're a wee bit above the market expectations, that gives you license. I'm happy to handle your property for you. I'm happy to work on this for you. But here's the rule. Here's the deal. The marketing program that I'm recommending, that's my bottom line. I think the one we did today was 17,500 coming in on Thursday to sign up. And the commissions this. Oh, and what I love, I've been using it a lot lately. The commission is how much? And I said, well, it's X. And the owner said, God, that's a lot of money. I said, yep, it is. Now, the salesperson who I was doing this with sat there like, sure, we won't get this listing. And afterwards he said, I just was blown away that you had the courage to say, yes, it is. You're talking over $500,000 commission. And they said, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. Now, it doesn't matter what the commission is. Someone might say, you're selling my house here in Tauranga for $800,000. What is commission? You say $30,000. You don't have to say, and good news is it includes GST. All that crap's gone. It's $30,432. Well, that's a lot of money. Yep, it is. Correct. You can't argue with it. So why isn't it selling? Well, have you redone the ads? Have you redone the photographs? Have you reordered the photographs? Have you rewritten the copy? Does the first picture, the headline, and the first sentence in the copy, do they all match? Have you gone through the house with the vendor and say, look, guys, we need to do this, this, and this to make it look better than it's been looking? It's not best value for money in the marketplace right now. And let's talk about price. Because I think we're no longer best value in the market. Let me show you why. And lastly, but not least, we need to look at the marketing again. We need to do a boost on Trade Me, a boost on realestate.co. And now I want to go back to the thing I recommended at the very beginning. I want to go back and bring in, because we were hesitant, and we said, let's do it without it. I want us to go back and look at AIM, Accelerated Internet Marketing. And I think we, at this level of $800,000, we need to be going for the superior package at $699. Hey team, if you don't know what AIM is, don't find out. If you're using Campaign Track, you'll know what it is. See what it does. It's on a website. You can load up the documents. It's a feed to your Facebook business page. Oh, Ian, I don't do Facebook. Get over it. Last century is nearly 20 years ago, for goodness sake. Of course you do Facebook business page and your feed to Instagram. Of course you're doing all that stuff. It's where the world is. My kids tell me it's not pop anymore. Not with kids. They're not buying their house. God, just if you haven't, there's my rant for the day, because I walked in the office and they said, oh no, I don't do that stuff. I have time for that. It's not, well, I'm afraid the market doesn't have time for you. So if it's not selling, why isn't it selling? Look here, look here, and look here. Am I being honest? Am I delivering the feedback? Am I fronting up and taking it on the chin? Have I discussed marketing? Have I discussed the advertising copy? Have I looked at the photographs again? Have I got them to invest more in marketing? Have I looked at more digital marketing? Have I talked about property presentation? And then once again, have I dealt with the price issue? Because today I need to be value on the market, not sitting waiting for buyers to come to me, because buyers are looking for value, not just a house, they're looking for value. They will drive another 5 minutes. They'll drive to the next suburb because there's better value. And that's the challenge. Not everything's just selling straight away. Some towns are still rocking. But if you've got a listing that hasn't sold, and I've been to lots and lots of towns in recent weeks, and in every town, everybody's got listings that haven't sold. So there's your challenge. I dare you to watch this again and make some notes and follow these recipes. And it's the same for rental properties too. Yep, they ain't all going like that either. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. This download will be available for quite some time. You've got this on Tuesday night. You can watch it any time now. You don't need to do it at 4 o'clock. But I'm going to build a library of these eventually that you can download and keep. And so look, just go and do it. Pick a listing and go and practice. Pick the listing. Here's last bit of advice. You got a vendor who's been a bit of a smart aleck, a bit of a know-all, knows everything, got a friend in every other real estate office in town who's feeling his ear, done it all before, knows better than you, and didn't want to pay for marketing, wanted a fee discount. Practice on them. Practice on them. Go and lay all your cards on the table and be really, really firm. You got two things will happen. They'll do as you ask, or they'll sack you. Are the results good? Have fun. Make friends and money, and watch out for the next release in the next few days of affirmations for real estate agents. Because if you're sick of doing DLEs and you walk past no junk mail, no junk mail, no junk mail, no junk mail, and you buy all these 10,000 of them, you drop them all on wet days and Sunday, and nobody calls you. You're paying for database event for telemarketing, you're not getting leads. You're doing the newsletter every month for thousands of people, not getting any leads. Well, that is last century. I've got a way coming that all you got to do is spend 15 minutes a day writing a few things out, affirming a few things in your mind, because you see your thoughts, your words and your actions create results. Not just your words, not just your actions, but your thoughts. And thoughts always come first. So watch for that program. It's really cool. God, if I could just get rid of prospecting and just have listings come to me, wouldn't that be cool? Yep. Is it possible? Yep. Guarantee it. If you do the work. So enjoy, have fun, make money. That's a good hour's worth today. And when you go on to make sure you're logged on properly so I can check you have watched, because we can track you all. If you don't log on, we know, and you won't get a tick in the box. So make sure you watched it. Spread the word.